Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am here before you with a bare face, ready to test my subscribers' favorite underrated makeup products. This bag is full of products I am going to apply and wear all day and let you guys know how they work out for me. I've done several videos on underrated products, products that don't get enough love, and I asked you guys what you thought were products like that. I have a laundry list of those products that you recommended to me. So if you enjoy this video, I could probably have some follow-ups, some part 2s, part 3s, maybe make it a series. Let me know down below if you would like to see that and we could probably make it happen. The only thing that I have on my face aside from my skincare is my Colorescience Total Eye 3-in-1 corrector, because a corrector never came up as a recommendation from you guys. A brow product also wasn't recommended as an underrated favorite from you guys, so I wanted to see if this Glossier Brow Flick held up through foundation application. I have the shade Brown, so we're gonna see how this works out and wears today. I have worn it before, so I know it wears really well. I just usually put it on after I put on my foundation and powder. One of the primers that you guys recommended to me was this No. 7 Airbrush Away primer. I have never tried this. I love products from No. 7. It's a pore minimizing primer that is also suitable for sensitive skin. And it does say to smooth it over the skin rather than pat it onto the skin, so that's what we're gonna do. It has kind of a lotion-y consistency. I don't know why I was expecting it to have a silicone consistency. I always just apply a small amount, and you may notice I have a visitor here that I don't usually have. I thought it was a mosquito bite, and it was not. It was a zit, and I did what I tell you guys not to do all the time. I picked at it, and we're gonna see if the foundation I'm using today is gonna cover that up. So this applies very smoothly. It kind of morphs into a powdery feel as I apply it. It kind of feels like the Hourglass Veil Primer as I'm applying it, actually. Very smoothing, it feels nice. It's not an overwhelming smell, but it kind of smells like glue a little bit, but it goes away. Once my fingers stop going past my nose, I don't really smell it anymore. Now, I don't really think that the YSL All Hours foundation is really underrated, but a lot of you guys did recommend it to me because I never tried it. So I am trying it today because I know a lot of you guys really want to see this applied. The shade that I have is BD35. I don't know if there's a name for this or not. I kind of think that might be a little bit too light. Yeah, I'm gonna mix in a little bit of my Bronzi, my Drunk Elephant Bronzi with this, because I think it's gonna be a little bit too light for me right now. So you guys know, if you've watched my channel, if a foundation is too light or if I need to darken it in the summertime, I mix in just a little bit of my Drunk Elephant Bronzi, and it just kind of fixes everything. It doesn't change the texture. It doesn't do anything weird to it. It just deepens it up to where it will match me if a foundation is too light. And it has all kinds of skin benefits too. This wasn't intended to be part of the video. It's not an underrated favorite of yours, but it is a favorite of mine, and it probably is a little bit underrated. So now this is the shade that we have going on the back of my hand. I think that's pretty good. And I'm using my Stands Out Beauty Sponge, which you actually use dry. It's one of those memory foam sponges, and it applies foundation so beautifully. So if you're lazy like me and you don't feel like getting up to wet your sponge, this is a great, great sponge. A lot of you really like this, but it's still super underrated. And right now, if you use the code StephMarie, you get 10% off plus this free super soft cloth as well. So I'll have everything that I'm using in this video linked down below for you. So let's see how well this foundation covers and how natural it looks. I know a ton of you really love this, and I probably need to have my hair back, and I don't. I know this angers a lot of people, but on a normal day when I'm getting ready, I just don't think to put my hair back. I just kind of sweep it out of the way, and then I start filming and I just forget. Okay, I got the clip. Let's see. Let's zoom you in a little bit, and I still have half of this on my hand, and we have this coverage on this side of my face and this non-coverage on this side of my face. So it's evened out things really nicely. I'm using natural light today, which I've been doing a lot lately, so you can really see what's happening. This has a really thin consistency, but it covers pretty well. Kind of reminds me of the Shiseido Synchro Skin in a way, or the first version of it. I never tried the second version, but I really like the original. I'm gonna have to go back in with that brow pen. It just covered it right up. I don't think it wiped it away necessarily. I just think it's the coverage of the foundation. Okay, so I'm just going back in with a second layer where I think I need it. and it's not caking up at all. Okay, this looks really, really pretty. It covered this, but not all the way. So I am going to need a face concealer, which wasn't really covered in the recommendations. I'm gonna just conceal this little imperfection and maybe a couple of sunspots with my NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer in the shade Connelle. I probably need to go a shade deeper on this. I just haven't, so I'm just gonna work with it, and I may take a tad bit more bronzer over this part of my face if it just stands out. But you can see how well that covers, and I just take my finger and kind of pat it over that area, and I just make sure not to use too much and pat it directly over that area. And if it is too light, I'll just add a little bit of powder or a little bit of bronzer over it later. Sometimes the shade kind of warms up and corrects itself after a little while, so I'll just let it sit for a little bit. If this foundation wears well all day, I can definitely see why so many of you love it so much. It looks really good on the pores. It gives kind of a soft demi-matte appearance. It covers well. Yeah, I'm liking it. Okay, the concealer that I am trying, I got to admit I'm a little nervous about because I kind of played with it on my hand and didn't seem to give too much coverage. That's why I went ahead and applied my corrector. This is the Clinique Airbrush Concealer in the shade Light Honey. I'm a little nervous about this because I'm not sure if it's going to give me quite enough coverage on my under eye area. That's why I used a corrector first. It is a pen that you twist. I have a love-hate relationship with these things because I feel like you don't quite get enough and then all of a sudden you just have way too much. I am just going to try this with my fingers first, and if this doesn't offer enough coverage, I'm just going to use a regular concealer and hope you give me other options down below. But I could see why people like it if they have fine lines. It just seemed to kind of sit really well. Okay, it's doing something. I might lower my brightness a little bit. Is that a little bit better? Or is that too dark? Well, there's nothing I can do about it now. So sometimes I feel like if it's a little bit darker, you guys can see what's going on. I think this might be one of those concealers that would be really good for a no makeup day, because you don't always want to be super illuminated or look like you have on too much concealer. You know, you kind of want it to go with the texture of your skin and really warm it up with your fingers. So it is actually really pretty. It doesn't offer the most coverage of any concealer I've ever tried. I'm going to see if it layers just on the darkest parts of my under eye area. So just note that if I don't love a product that you recommended, doesn't mean I don't love you. I just have different preferences, as we all do. Not every product that I love works out for you guys either. And that's why there's so many products out there to choose from, right? Okay, it looks like I'm flipping you guys off. I just realized I'm not. I'm gonna leave that like that. I don't think that that is the most coverage I've ever gotten out of a concealer, but it's not the worst either. And I think because I have a little more coverage going on my face, even though it's a nice natural looking coverage, it just might look like it's less coverage. Maybe I'll try highlighting different parts of my face, kind of like with the Touche Éclat concealer. Highlighting this little area that kind of gets sunken in. I have two options for powder here. I was thinking of using the Hard Candy Oil-Free Loose Powder as my setting powder and using the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder in the shade Classic Beige as my finishing powder. I've heard great things about both of them. This is called the Sheer Envy Translucent Loose Powder, and it is a pure white powder. So I'm taking just a tiny bit on my Sigma F64 and I'm just gonna pat that to set that Clinique concealer in. I'm hoping this is not gonna be too drying underneath my eyes to negate that beautiful Clinique concealer, and it really doesn't seem like it is. It really looks nice under the eyes. Another thing that's impressive about this foundation, a lot of times when I'm putting on my concealer, I kind of crunch my forehead up and I'll get creasing that I have to pat out before I put on my powder. And that did not happen with this foundation. So I'll add some points for that. So I am just pressing in this powder with my sponge to really meld it in with the skin. And then I'm gonna take a really soft fluffy powder brush and just dip it in what's left in the cap and just kind of dust that over everything just to make sure everything's covered, and then dust away the excess. That is something you really only need to do if you live in the hot, humid South. If you have dry skin, you may not need to set that foundation at all, or you may just want to dust a tiny bit on your face just where you get a little bit of shine. I'm really, really loving this combination. This looks really nice on the skin. Okay, I just retouched up my brows really quickly. Okay, before I forget, if you have any favorite products or underrated products that you want me to try that you haven't seen me try yet, leave them in the comments below. And if you are not subscribed to my channel and you've just been watching my videos already, or if this is your first time here and you just get a good vibe and feel like you would want to be a part of this community, hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you here with me on a regular basis. So I'm using the Rimmel Natural Bronzer in the shade Sunlight. This is shade 21. I think this is the one that you guys were recommending to me. I know they have several shades. If you have another bronzer shade or another bronzer that you would like me to look at, please let me know and I will look at it. But it seemed like this is the one that was coming up the most. By the way, the big fluffy powder brush that I used a while ago is the BK Beauty number 102 powder brush. It's super big, super fluffy, super soft. And this is the 103. I will have all product links below, and I do have a 10% code for you too if you are interested in any of the BK Beauty brushes. I have a lot of static in my hair today. It's just going everywhere. So if this is the shade that you recommended, you were right on. It's got a nice golden hue to it, yet it's got enough kind of caramel brown to where it really just has that bronze tone. I'm so sorry about my hair going everywhere. It's just gonna do that today. But yeah, I am liking it a lot. And I am not using any contour today. I am one that likes to do my highlighter before I do my blush. I feel like they blend in just better together that way. And this is the Laura Mercier Matte Radiance Baked Powder in the shade Highlight 01. This was recommended to me time and time again from you guys in the comments when we were talking about your favorite underrated products. And I did already have this in my collection, but I just don't use it enough, kind of like that Stands Out sponge. This is such a subtle, natural highlighter for people who don't even really like highlighters or are kind of scared of highlighters. It's one that you could actually wear during the day and it's not gonna look overdone. It's just gonna look natural and I don't know, just kind of enhance those cheekbones, which is always what we wanna do when we wear highlighter. That's what they're made to do. They're not made to just, you know, shine to outer space, even though I know people do that, right? So look at how pretty that is. It's just so pretty. When you put blush on top of it, it is gonna look even more beautiful. And earlier I talked about using a finishing powder, and if you do go overboard with your bronzer or your contour, if you're using one, your blush or your highlight, you can really tone that down and fix any mistakes with your finishing powder. And I may show you that later if I did go overboard, but I really don't think so. But you'll still be able to see kind of a subtlety that happens when I use the finishing powder. Okay, so I just took this CoverGirl Clean Classic Color blush out of the package. This is in the shade Soft Mink, and I was really confused because there is no top to it, but it appears as though something happens here. So this comes off completely and goes back on. I have never seen packaging like this before in my life. Okay, this is really, really strange. Okay, wow, why did they have to make this so complicated? And now, okay, now we're in business. Okay, that was a little odd. I still have yet to understand why companies include these little chintzy brushes with the cheap bristles, and you know, they're square. So yeah, I am gonna show you how to tone down this highlight. It is reflecting off the light coming in my window so hard. This shade is so pretty. CoverGirl blushes have kind of a, you know, a makeup smell to them. So I like to take blush kind of down my nose a little bit and on my forehead and in the crease, which I will show you in a minute. I'm gonna do something a little bit different to my eyes, which I have not showed you before. So first I'm gonna use this NYX Lip Pencil in the shade Nude Pink because I'm going to put on that finishing powder and I like to have my lip liner on first. The NYX lip liners are a product we definitely all agree on that they are completely underrated, and they are just absolutely phenomenal, and they have a lot of shades to choose from too, which is great. So I'm gonna take this CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder. Again, the shade that I have is Classic Beige number 115. And I'm gonna take my Face One Sonia G brush. This is the brush that I always use for applying my finishing powder, sometimes my powder foundation as well. It's just so freaking perfect. It doesn't kick up powder, it doesn't waste powder. So you actually end up saving money even though the brush is a little bit expensive. But see how that just kind of diffused that blush and the highlight together, yet still leaves a glow on the face, and you still just look really, really radiant and beautiful, but it just kind of softened everything. So that is what a finishing powder does, and I really, really enjoy this powder, so thank you for recommending it to me. So what I'm going to do with this powder is just take a brush and put it from my crease and above. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, because I'm going to take a cream stick shadow that you guys recommended and put it on my lids, but I don't want to powder that first because it might affect the way it looks. I do like this mirror in the CoverGirl blush. So I'm going to take this blush and just kind of sweep it across the crease. It just kind of ties everything together. You can do this with your blush or your bronzer. There's something about the way this ties a look together, which I love. And I'm going to pinch those bristles together and do it on the bottom as well. It just kind of helps open up the eye. I'm going to go ahead and put my lipstick on because my lips are just feeling dry from just having that lip liner on with nothing over them. I'm going to use the Maybelline MAUVE-FOR-ME. This is from their, is it Made For Me line? I can't remember exactly what it's called. And it still has that sticker residue on it. Does that drive anyone else nuts? I hate having to take Goo Gone to my products just to get the label residue off. I do know I like the formula though, because I do have the pink for me and it's really nice. Okay, I'm liking the shade. It's a really flattering neutral that has a little bit of punch to it. It reminds me of a Revlon shade that I had that I really liked too, that I still have. I don't know why I said had. Okay, a lot of you talked about how the Laura Mercier Caviar sticks are super underrated now because so many different cream products and stick products and liquid eyeshadows have come out and just kind of overshadowed them, and a lot of you really use them. So I'm going to use these today in kind of I don't know, a different way. I'm going to put rose gold all over my lid. I'm just going to kind of color in my lid like I'm using a crayon and smudge out my crease, kind of a one and done color. And then I am going to accent it with the shade Caviar, which is such a beautiful kind of smoky black shade. And if you find when you look forward you can't see these, just open your eye and add it directly into the crease while your eye's open. And when you smudge, just be sure and smudge above the crease so that you can see a little bit of that shimmer above your crease area. That is if you want it above your crease. And Laura Mercier does have matte shades too, if you prefer the matte shades. This is how I do this method. Every time I do it, you'll see that this is kind of flattened out, because I take a pencil brush. Sometimes it's a regular pencil brush, sometimes it's a slim pencil brush, and I just basically color the pencil brush into the product. If I feel like I've gotten too much product, I'll just kind of dab it onto the back of my hand to swipe off extra, and I'll just take it and I will start smudging it across the top lash line, kind of digging it into the lash line and smudging it upwards. And it sets quickly, so you have to work quickly. And I'll also kind of start to smudge it upwards and outwards. And yes, my eye is closed because I've just kind of gotten to where I know this method, and I know a lot of you have hooded eyes, so this might be something, I don't know, that you can do as well, keeping your eyes closed. And then I'll open my eyes and kind of just see if there's any gaps. And I just really like that edge really smudged out, and it just looks so cool and it lasts all day. Now, if you have really wrinkly lids or hooded lids, you can kind of gently pull while your eye is closed and do that, but I just kind of angle it up towards my brow, and that is all I do. And it's just so pretty, and it really does last. This is just such an easy look to do if you travel and you don't want to bring a lot of products. You can keep it more subtle, or you can really blow it out for nighttime. And I'm just kind of open my eyes to make sure, you know, that the two sides are even and going in the same direction. That's pretty important. And you can just smudge it out to your heart's content. If you want to take a shadow and go over it, you can, but you don't need to because these last all day, all night long. A ton of you talked about how no one ever talks about the NYX Worth the Hype mascara, and I found this travel size, which I always love picking up because I don't know, I kind of feel like you get your 3 months worth out of a small size mascara. I really do like it. I feel like it does give length and volume. I did have to put on just a light coat of waterproof underneath it because it does straighten my lashes out just like any other non-waterproof mascara. As far as lengthening and volumizing, it really works. I'm going to see how it holds up throughout the day as far as smudging and flaking. So this is what we have with my subscribers, your underrated products that you recommended to me. I am going to to be testing out these underrated products, so stay tuned. We'll see how these wear. I'm in pretty bad lighting right now. It has been 9.5 hours and I almost forgot to check in. I was getting ready to go wash my face and I remembered I needed to check back in with you guys. So the foundation, the powder, the blush, the highlight, the eyes, the brows, everything still looks really good. I've eaten twice since I did the lips, so they have faded, but I didn't expect them to stay because it's not a long wearing lipstick, but there's still kind of a stain there. I did blow my nose, so that's why it's pink, but I mean, nothing's breaking up. I did not blot my face today and I am not overly shiny. I'm super impressed. You guys are right. These are underrated and they're really good. So I would love to do this kind of a video again. If you are into it, let me know down below in the comments. And also let me know if you have other underrated favorites or just favorites in general you want me to try. If you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, become part of the family. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed doing it. This was a lot of fun. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. It's one that you could actually wear during, the, what's that noise?